One of the things I found most personally off-putting in the 2016 presidential election was when then candidate Hillary Clinton dismissed a whole segment of the American population as being deplorables because they didn't agree with her. They were backing her opponent. So of course she just dismisses them. It's almost like this whole elitist attitude that I know better than you do, and all of you people who don't agree with me don't even count. So I want to go here. Now, of course, she backed off that immediately because she saw it made a lot of people mad, but clearly she actually meant that. Now I'm wondering, are we being called deplorables again, just with different languages? It sure sounds so. So especially in light of what happened on Capitol Hill with the removal of the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, and the peril it put in the backing of funds for Ukraine, Hillary Clinton went on PBS earlier today and had a couple of comments that really sound reminiscent of the dismissal and this elite attitude that we had before, that Americans aren't really smart enough to figure out anything. Here's what I'm talking about. Here's the first thing she said.
When I see people parroting Russian talking points that first showed up on Russia Today or first showed up in a speech from a Russian official, that's a big point scored for Putin. When I see Americans in positions of responsibility talking about how, we shouldn't support the people of Ukraine, they're corrupt. And talk about corruption, there is the master of corruption living in the Kremlin.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, even in her body language there, it's just, they're corrupt. And like anybody saying something besides, yes, give Ukraine all the money that they want, no matter what, and for no matter how long, is dismissed, is not even having a valid position. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of it. She also said this.
There's an ideological and sadly partisan political divide. And I know that the majority of Congress is still in favor of supporting Ukraine. So we've got to get through this period. We have to pass legislation and continue to support. And, Jeff, this fight is our fight. Honestly, I don't understand any American siding with Putin, but we've seen it and we've heard it and we have to fight against it.
I'm sorry. There's just a lot more in there. It's just, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard when I hear that kind of dismissive attitude. Like that anyone who says has valid points or believes they have points that hey, I don't like where this is going. There's some problems here. You're a Putin apologist. I mean, she's dismissing any criticism at all and saying, but the vast majority of Congress, in her impression, is going to, quote, do the right thing. But those are not. I just don't understand how anybody would support Putin. Nobody supports Putin. All right, let's just be clear about this. Nobody supports Putin. I'm the last one in America that supports Putin. I'm the first one in America, though, that says I want our money to go to some place that helps us. And if it's going to somebody else to help them, that it can help them. And if there are legitimate questions like the corruption, and look, again, this is just not just some opinion. This is a major problem in Ukraine. Lots of money is going places that we provided that it's not supposed to be going. And all you have to do is look at what Ukraine has done. They finally had enough pressure that they fired their minister of defense and 6 senior administration or defense officials because of their corruption. And that's only the tip of the iceberg. This goes much deeper, and we definitely haven't gotten to the end of it. I'm pretty sure that they made those moves to try to quiet the problems on the West and the questions that people keep asking. But I assure you that almost certainly that's continuing to go on. That's something that's been endemic to Ukraine. It's one of the rated as the most corrupt regimes in Europe and among those in the world even. So that's a legitimate concern. It's a legitimate concern to say, is our money actually, are we getting a return on investment for this? Is it changing the outcome of the war? Is this something that's going to help bring peace? Those are valid questions. Those aren't Putin's talking points. It just irks me to no end to hear so-called elites in this country, or consider themselves so, to be talking so dismissively of Americans, like we don't have valid positions. We do have valid positions. It is required in our government to take into consideration the needs of the governed, because they only rule by the consent of the governed. And so don't tell me that you're just going to dismiss what we say as being nonsense and then try to claim that we're actually talking about an opponent when we're definitely not. and not telling us what we need to know, because you owe it to us to say, okay, they're fighting for us. Really? Ukraine's fighting for us? What does that even mean? You saw that she gave no answer to that question. She just made this soundbite statement with no justification. She's not even providing any, here's what I mean when I say that. They're fighting for us because XYZ. Now, of course, I believe that the reason she didn't is because there is no XYZ. There is no fighting for us. We're not at risk. We're not threatened. They're not going to come attack America or even on the ground attack our NATO allies. They don't have the capacity for that. So don't tell me any of that kind of nonsense again, because it's unsupportable by the evidence, by the facts on the ground, the reality, the truth. And that's what we're all about here at Deep Dive, is giving you the truth of the situation. It's not a right or a left issue. You can come to whatever conclusion you want, but you're going to be armed with the right information. And when I see stuff like this, I'm not going to be silent about it. I'm going to get it out there so you know what's a lot of nonsense that she's saying, and what she's not telling you are things you need to know. And there are valid questions that many people in America have. And that's why the polling continues to show that actually more and more Americans like you are starting to ask questions. And I will not have that, in your opinion, impugned by suggesting that you're actually in league with our, they're not even our enemy, but with our adversary, because it's not what the elites want. So let's just get rid of that right off the bat, that we're not going to be dismissed again by either Hillary Clinton or anybody else, or silenced. If we have questions, we're going to ask them. And Deep Dive is going to continue to help that and illuminate that for your knowledge. Don't forget, like and subscribe.